There is a moment in every nap, almost exactly 20 minutes after you close your eyes, when something shifts in your brain. A door opens. Behind that door is a deeper kind of sleep, the kind your body would normally enter only at night. If you cross through that door even briefly, you will wake up worse than if you had not napped at all. Groggy, disoriented, heavy. The afternoon you were trying to rescue with rest will instead be ruined by it. And the cause is not in your sleep schedule, your age, or your stress level. The cause is a specific neurological transition that happens at minute 21. And that almost nobody talks about. If you have ever napped for an hour and woken up feeling worse than when you started, you have crossed that door. You did not do anything wrong. Nobody told you the door was there. Nobody warned you that the duration of the nap was not a question of more rest equals more benefit. The biology of napping is more like a narrow window than a long runway, and the window closes faster than most people realize. Picture the next 20 minutes of a nap as a careful descent, not into oblivion, not into the depths of nighttime sleep, but into a specific, shallow, restorative layer that your brain treats as a brief refresh rather than a full rest. Stay in that layer and you wake refreshed. Pass through it, and you enter territory your body cannot exit cleanly, without giving you the punishment people call sleep inertia. The rule is not arbitrary. The boundary is the edge of the safe layer. Most people learn this the hard way. They take a 90-minute nap on a Saturday afternoon and wake feeling drugged, slow, foggy for an hour after, and they decide naps do not work for them. Or they nap for 30 minutes and feel marginally worse than they did before, and they conclude that they are simply not a napper. In almost every one of these cases, the nap itself was not the problem. The duration was a 15-minute nap from the same person on the same day would have produced something completely different. You felt something settle reading that. A small recognition that you may have been blaming yourself, or your sleep cycles, or your aging body, when the actual issue was a timing rule nobody taught you. Hold that recognition. The next 20 minutes of explanation will tell you exactly what is happening inside your skull during a nap, why the boundary at minute 20 is real, and how to position your nap on the right side of the door. Let me walk you through what your brain does as a nap unfolds, because the sequence is specific, and the specifics are why the rule exists in the first place. You lie down. You close your eyes. The room is dim, ideally, within the first 3 to 5 minutes. If you are tired enough to nap at all, your brain transitions from beta waves, the fast electrical pattern of alert thinking, into alpha waves, the slower pattern of relaxed wakefulness. You are not asleep yet. You are in the antechamber. Many people who think they have not slept during a nap have actually been here. And the antechamber alone produces measurable cognitive benefits, though smaller than a true nap delivers. Around minute 5 to 10, depending on how depleted you are, your brain crosses into stage 1 sleep. Theta waves dominate. You may experience hypnagogic imagery, brief flashes of dreamlike thought that feel both real and not real. Your muscles relax further. Your awareness of the room dims. If someone called your name, you would wake easily, and you might insist you had not been asleep at all. Stage 1 is light, brief, and easy to exit. This is where the safe layer begins. Around minute 10 to 20, your brain transitions into stage 2 sleep. Sigma waves and K complexes appear, 2 specific electrical patterns associated with memory consolidation and protection of sleep against external noise. Stage 2 is the meat of a good nap. Heart rate slows further. Body temperature drops slightly. The brain begins doing real restorative work. You are clearly asleep now, but you can still be awakened relatively easily. And the awakening will be clean. You will know what time it is. You will know where you are. The benefit of the nap is being delivered during this window, and it is being delivered efficiently. This is the window the rule protects. Wake up at minute 18, minute 20, minute 22, and you exit cleanly. The benefits of stage 1 and stage 2 sleep have been received. Your brain has had a small dose of consolidation. Your body has had a brief drop in metabolic load. You return to alertness with measurable improvements in attention, mood, and reaction time. And these improvements often last several hours. But around minute 25 to 30, depending on the individual, The brain begins sliding into stage 3, slow wave sleep. Delta waves dominate. This is the deepest, most physically restorative form of sleep, the kind that dominates the first half of nighttime sleep, the kind your body fights to protect when you are sick or exhausted. Slow wave sleep is wonderful at night. Slow wave sleep is a disaster in the middle of the afternoon. Picture the difference this way. Stage 2 is a comfortable, shallow pool. You can step in, get refreshed, step out. Stage 3 is the deep end. Once you are there, you cannot just step out. The brain has to ascend through stages, reverse the chemical and electrical shifts, and that ascent takes time. Time that interrupts your day in ways the nap was supposed to prevent. If you wake during stage 3, or if you wake during the ascent out of it, you experience sleep inertia. Sleep inertia is the technical name for the foggy, disoriented, slow-witted state that people associate with waking up wrong. The fogginess is not psychological. It is a measurable cognitive state. Reaction time slows by 25 to 35%. Decision-making accuracy drops. Working memory function declines. Some studies show cognitive performance during sleep inertia is comparable to a blood alcohol level over the legal driving limit. This persists for 30 to 60 minutes in most people, and for some, particularly older adults, it can last over an hour. This is the door I described at the beginning. Crossing into stage 3 puts you on the wrong side of it. The longer you stay in stage 3, the worse the inertia when you finally wake. A nap that ends at minute 45, partway through stage 3, often produces the worst possible outcome, long enough to reach the deep stages, not long enough to complete a full sleep cycle. No clean exit. Just a punishing ascent that leaves you worse than before. I want to mark a careful boundary, because the timing rules I am describing are population averages, and individual variation is real. Some people enter stage 3 faster than minute 25, particularly when they are sleep deprived. Some take longer, particularly young adults or people who are well rested. The 20-minute target is a conservative buffer that keeps almost everyone in the safe layer. A 25-minute nap may be fine for one person and disastrous for another. Sleep researchers, including Sarah Mednick at UC Irvine, who has studied napping extensively for over 2 decades, recommend this duration precisely because it accommodates such variation while still delivering benefit. Mednick's work, including her book on the science of napping, has helped popularize what was once technical sleep medicine into practical advice. Her finding has been replicated. The short nap improves alertness, mood, and cognitive performance with minimal risk of inertia. Longer rests risk inertia in proportion to how deeply they enter stage 3 before terminating. Consider what this implies for the person over 55 who naps during the day, which is most people in that age group, whether they admit to it or not. If your standard nap has been 45 minutes to an hour because you assumed longer is better, you have been systematically choosing the worst possible duration. The benefit you are receiving is being canceled or reversed by the inertia you wake into. Switch to 20 minutes, and the same nap that was draining your afternoon will start restoring it. There is a second layer worth understanding, because not all naps are functionally equal even within this short window. The optimal time for a short nap is the early afternoon, roughly 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., depending on your individual circadian rhythm. This window aligns with a natural dip in alertness that humans experience regardless of lunch, regardless of culture, regardless of activity level. The dip is built into the circadian architecture, and napping during it works with the biology rather than against it. Napping outside this window, particularly after 4 p.m., is more likely to interfere with nighttime sleep, partly because you may inadvertently absorb sleep pressure that should accumulate for nighttime, and partly because later naps are more likely to descend into deeper stages quickly. If you have ever taken a brief nap at 5 p.m. and then struggled to fall asleep at 11 p.m., this is why. The nap was structurally fine. The timing was structurally wrong. The afternoon dip is the right window. Late afternoon and evening are not. There is a third element, which is the prep ritual that determines whether a nap succeeds or fails before it begins. Lying down in a bright room with a phone in your hand will not produce a clean short nap. It will produce 20 minutes of failed sleep on set, followed by frustration. The brain needs the same signals it needs for nighttime sleep, just delivered briefly. Dim light, quiet environment, cool temperature, a specific lying down position rather than slumping in a chair. These signals tell the suprachiasmatic nucleus, the master clock region of your brain, that the body is in sleep mode rather than rest mode. Without the signals, the descent into stage 1 takes longer, and your window may end before you have actually slept. Some people, particularly older adults, find that lying flat in bed for an afternoon nap is harder than expected because the body associates the bed with longer sleep. A reclining chair, a couch, a daybed can sometimes produce a faster descent because the environmental cues are subtler. Experiment to find what works for your body. The principle is consistent. Replicate the conditions of nighttime sleep onset in compressed form. The faster the onset, the more of the brief window remains for actual sleep. There is one technique that deserves a brief mention because it produces stronger results than a plain nap for many people. And because the science behind it is more solid than its informal name suggests. It is called the coffee nap, and it works because of how caffeine is absorbed by the body. When you drink a cup of coffee, the caffeine takes roughly 20 to 30 minutes to cross from your stomach into your bloodstream and reach the adenosine receptors in your brain. Adenosine is the chemical that builds up during waking hours and produces the feeling of tiredness. Caffeine blocks those receptors, but here's the part that matters. While you nap, your brain naturally clears some of the accumulated adenosine on its own. So if you drink coffee immediately before lying down, the caffeine arrives at the receptors at almost exactly the moment you wake, and it arrives at receptors that are already partially cleared by the nap itself. The two effects compound. People who use this technique often report significantly more alertness than from either coffee or napping alone. The research, including studies from Loughborough University, supports the basic mechanism, though individual responses vary, and people with caffeine sensitivity or sleep disorders should not attempt it. Now consider the question many people ask at this point. What about people who insist they need an hour nap to feel restored? In some cases, they are not wrong, but they are working with a different mechanism. A 90-minute nap, completed fully, allows the brain to descend through stages 1, 2, and 3, and then ascend back through 2 and 1, exiting through REM sleep. The full cycle prevents the inertia trap because the awakening occurs at a stage transition rather than within stage 3. A full 90-minute nap can be excellent if you have the time, the privacy, and the ability to sleep that long without fragmenting. But the long cycle approach is harder to execute reliably. It requires more stable sleep architecture. It requires that you actually fall asleep within the first few minutes, rather than spending 20 of those minutes trying. For most people, the short nap is more reliable, more accessible, and produces a better return on the time invested. The 20-minute rule is not a compromise for people who lack time. It is a precise targeting of the safe sleep layer that delivers benefit without cost. The full cycle approach is the alternative for those who can execute it. The 30 to 60-minute window is the trap that almost everyone falls into, and the trap costs them hours of recovery for what should have been a few minutes of refresh. I want to acknowledge a limitation, honestly. The exact stage transition timings I have described are averages from sleep laboratory research, mostly conducted on younger adults under controlled conditions. Real-world napping is messier. Individual brain architecture varies. Sleep pressure varies day to day. Medications, alcohol, caffeine, and underlying health conditions all shift the timing. The general guideline is a robust target that works for most people most of the time, but it is not a guarantee. If you find your sweet spot is 17 minutes or 23 minutes, that is fine. The principle is to stay in the safe layer, not to obsess over an exact number. Here is the protocol that works for most adults over 50 if you want to test it. Set an alarm for 25 minutes from now. The 25 includes a buffer for the 5 minutes you might spend falling asleep. Lie down somewhere quiet, dim, cool. If a phone is necessary for the alarm, put it face down or in airplane mode. Close your eyes. Do not try to sleep. Trying to sleep activates the prefrontal cortex, which delays sleep onset. Instead, simply rest. Allow whatever happens to happen. If sleep arrives, it arrives. If only deep relaxation arrives, that is also valuable, though less than full nap benefits. When the alarm sounds, get up immediately. Do not snooze. Snoozing is the most common way people accidentally enter stage 3 and ruin the nap. Get up, splash cool water on your face if convenient. Expose yourself to bright light and resume your day. The grogginess of the first 60 to 90 seconds is normal even from a clean nap. It clears quickly. If grogginess lasts beyond 5 minutes, you cross the door, and tomorrow you should set the alarm for 5 minutes earlier. Within 15 minutes of waking from a clean nap, you should feel measurably more alert than before the nap. Not energized, not buzzing, just clear. Mood is often improved. Reaction time is sharper. Patience is restored. These effects last 2 to 4 hours in most people, sometimes longer, before fading back toward baseline. If you do this consistently for 2 weeks, you may notice broader changes. Your afternoon energy stabilizes rather than crashing. Your evening alertness shifts, which can affect when you naturally fall asleep at night. For some people, regular short naps actually improve nighttime sleep by reducing the desperation of accumulated sleep debt. For others, naps interfere. Pay attention to your own pattern. The short nap is a tool, not a prescription. Use it where it works. Skip it where it does not. There is one final observation that explains why this matters more than people realize. The afternoon nap is one of the few interventions in modern adult life that costs almost nothing. Requires no equipment, no membership, no professional, and yet measurably improves cognitive function for several hours. The cost of getting it wrong, however, is high. A bad nap ruins an afternoon. A good nap rescues one. The difference between the two is roughly 10 minutes of duration and a few simple environmental cues. Most people are getting it wrong. Most people are napping past the door, and most people are concluding that naps do not work for them, when in fact naps have been working against them for years because of a timing rule nobody mentioned. Tomorrow, somewhere between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m., find 25 minutes. Dim the room. Set the alarm. Lie down. Close your eyes. Do not try, just rest. When the alarm sounds, get up and do not look back. The afternoon you have been losing is waiting on the other side of a door you can finally choose not to cross.